Welcome to A Year of War and Peace. I'm your host, Brian E. Denton. A Year of War and Peace is a daily, year-long, chapter-by-chapter reading of and meditation on Leo Tolstoy's epic novel, War and Peace. In these videos and podcasts, you'll be treated to a free reading of one chapter per day of the novel, plus a reflective essay I've written individually tailored to that day's chapter. These readings are offered for free, though if you'd like to support me, you can do so in one of three ways. First, you could purchase my ebook, A Year of War and Peace. It features the entire novel, plus all of my reflective essays, and it's only $2.99 on Amazon.com. You could also become a patron at patreon.com/BrianEDenton. If you sign up there, you'll receive a sonnet once a month, plus a link to an ebook of my collected sonnets. Finally, if you like, you can make a one-time donation to my PayPal account. The email there is brianedenton@gmail.com. You can also use that email to contact me. I'd be happy to hear from you. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today's reading is of Chapter 11 with a reflection on the same. Chapter 11. After receiving her visitors, the Countess was so tired that she gave orders to admit no more, but the porter was told to be sure to invite to dinner all who came to congratulate. The Countess wished to have a tete-a-tete talk with the friend of her childhood, Princess Anna Mikhailovna, whom she had not seen properly since she returned from Petersburg. Anna Mikhailovna, with her tear-worn but pleasant face, drew her chair nearer to that of the Countess. "With you I will be quite frank," said Anna Mikhailovna. "There are not many of us left of the old friends. That's why I value your friendship." Anna Mikhailovna looked at Vera and paused. The Countess pressed her friend's hand. "Vera," she said to her eldest daughter, who was evidently not a favorite, "how is it you have so little tact? Don't you see you are not wanted here? Go to the other girls, or—" The handsome Vera smiled contemptuously, but did not seem at all hurt. "If you had told me sooner, Mamma, I would have gone," she replied, as she got up to go to her own room. But as she passed the sitting room, she noticed two couples sitting, one pair at each window. She stopped and smiled scornfully. Sonia was sitting close to Nicholas, who was copying out some verses for her, the first he had ever written. Boris and Natasha were at the other window and ceased talking when Vera entered. Sonia and Natasha looked at Vera with guilty, happy faces. It was pleasant and touching to see these little girls in love, but apparently the sight of them roused no pleasant feeling in Vera. "How often have I asked you not to take my things?" she said. "You have a room of your own," and she took the inkstand from Nicholas. In a minute, he said, dipping his pen. "You always manage to do things at the wrong time," continued Vera. "You came rushing into the drawing room so that everyone felt ashamed of you." Though what she said was quite just, perhaps for that very reason no one replied, and the four simply looked at one another. She lingered in the room with the inkstand in her hand. "And at your age, what secrets can there be between Natasha and Boris, or between you two? It's all nonsense." "Now, Vera, what does it matter to you?" said Natasha in defense, speaking very gently. She seemed that day to be more than ever kind and affectionate to everyone. "Very silly," said Vera. "I'm ashamed of you. Secrets indeed." "All have secrets of their own," answered Natasha, getting warmer. "We don't interfere with you and Berg." "I should think not," said Vera, "because there can never be anything wrong in my behavior. But I'll just tell Mama how you are behaving with Boris." "Natalie behaves very well with me," remarked Boris. "I have nothing to complain of." "Don't, Boris. You're such a diplomat that it really is tiresome," said Natasha, in a mortified voice that trembled slightly. She used the word diplomat, which was just then much in vogue among the children, and the special sense they attached to it. "Why does she bother me?" And she added, turning to Vera, "You'll never understand it because you've never loved anyone. You have no heart. You're a Madame de Genlis, and nothing more." This nickname, bestowed on Vera by Nicholas, was considered very stinging. "And your greatest pleasure is to be unpleasant to people. Go and flirt with Berg as much as you please," she finished quickly. "I shall at any rate not run after a young man before visitors." "Well, now you've done what you wanted," put in Nicholas. "Said unpleasant things to everyone and upset them. Let's go to the nursery." All four, like a flock of scared birds, got up and left the room. "The unpleasant things were said to me," remarked Vera. "I said none to anyone." "Madame de Genlis! Madame de Genlis!" shouted laughing voices through the door. The handsome Vera, who produced such an irritating and unpleasant effect on everyone, smiled, and, evidently unmoved by what had been said to her, went to the looking-glass and arranged her hair in a scarf. Looking at her own handsome face, she seemed to become still colder and calmer. In the drawing-room, the conversation was still going on. "Ah, my dear," said the Countess, "my life is not all roses either. Don't I know that at the rate we are living our means won't last long? It's all the club and his easy-going nature. Even in the country, do we get any rest? Theatricals, hunting, and heaven knows what besides. But don't let's talk about me. Tell me how you managed everything. I often wonder at you, Annette, how at your age you can rush off alone in a carriage to Moscow, to Petersburg, to those ministers and great people, and know how to deal with them all. It's quite astonishing. How did you get things settled? I couldn't possibly do it." "Ah, my love," answered Anna Mikhalovna, "God grant that you never know what it is to be left a widow without means and with a son you love to distraction. One learns many things then," she added with a certain pride. "That lawsuit taught me much. When I want to see one of those big people, I write a note. Princess so-and-so desires an interview with so-and-so, and then I take a cab and get myself 2, 3, or 4 times till I get what I want. I don't mind what they think of me." "Well, and to whom did you apply about Boris?" asked the Countess. "You see, yours is already an officer in the Guards, while my Nicholas is going as a cadet. There's no one to interest himself for him. To whom did you apply?" "To Prince Vasily. He was so kind. He at once agreed to everything, and put the matter before the Emperor," said Princess Anna Mikhalovna enthusiastically, quite forgetting all the humiliation she had endured to gain her end. "Has Prince Vasily aged much?" asked the Countess. "I have not seen him since we acted together at the Romanovs' theatricals. I expect he has forgotten me. He paid me such attentions in those days," said the Countess with a smile. "He is just the same as ever," replied Anna Mikhalovna, overflowing with amiability. "His position has not turned his head at all. He said to me, 'I am sorry I can do so little for you, dear Princess. I am at your command.' Yes, he is a fine fellow and a very kind relation. But, Natalie, you know my love for my son. I would do anything for his happiness. And my affairs are in such a bad way that my position is now a terrible one," continued Anna Mikhalovna, sadly dropping her voice. "My wretched lawsuit takes all I have and makes no progress. Would you believe it? I have literally not a penny and don't know how to equip Boris." She took out her handkerchief and began to cry. "I need 500 rubles, and have only one 25-ruble note. I am in such a state. My only hope now is in Count Cyril Vladimirovich Bezukov. If he will not assist his godson, you know he is Boris' godfather, and allow him something for his maintenance, all my trouble will have been thrown away. I shall not be able to equip him." The Countess's eyes filled with tears, and she pondered in silence. "I often think, though, perhaps it's a sin," said the Princess, "that here lives Count Cyril Vladimirovich Bezukov, so rich, all alone, a tremendous fortune. And what is his life worth? It's a burden to him, and Boris's life is only just beginning." "Surely he will leave something to Boris," said the Countess. "Heaven only knows, my dear. These rich grandees are so selfish. Still, I will take Boris and go to him at once, and I shall speak to him straight out. Let people think what they will of me. It's really all the same to me when my son's fate is at stake." The Princess rose. "It's now 2 o'clock, and you dine at 4. There will be just enough time." And like a practicable Petersburg lady who knows how to make the most of time, Anna Mikhalovna sent someone to call her son, and went into the anteroom with him. "Goodbye, my dear," she said to the Countess, who saw her to the door, and added in a whisper so that her son would not hear, "Wish me luck." "Are you going to Count Cyril Vladimirovich, my dear?" said the Count, coming out from the dining-room into the anteroom, and he added, "If he is better, ask Pierre to dine with us. He has been to the house, you know, and danced with the children. Be sure to invite him, my dear. We will see how Taras distinguishes himself today. He says Count Orlov never gave such a dinner as ours will be." All right, that concludes my reading of Chapter 11 in War and Peace. We're going to move right into the reflection on the same. A Year of War and Peace, Day 11. A Widow's Workout. This chapter is divided into 2 parts. The first part features the petty skirmishes of the Rostov children. The second is a talk between Countess Rostova and her guest Anna Mikhalovna. We start with Vera, the oldest sibling of the Rostov family, getting booted out of the room so the Countess Rostova and Anna Mikhalovna can speak in private. Vera meets with an equal amount of disdain when she encounters her siblings out in the sitting room. It's actually a bit pitiful. though to be fair, she does kind of deserve it. She snatches her inkstand from Nicholas, who only wanted to use it so he could compose some poetry for Sonia. Then she chastises Natasha for her childish behavior during the guest reception. Her siblings insult her and leave the room together. This doesn't seem to bother Vera at all. Quite the contrary. She actually smiles to herself as they leave her. Back in the drawing room, Countess Rostova and Anna Mikhailovna talk. Countess Rostova marvels at how energetic her friend has been lately, traveling back and forth between Petersburg and Moscow, consulting with all the high-ranking people in those cities. Anna Mikhailovna replies that she has no choice in the matter. She's a poor widow with no resources. She must be always on the grind for her son Boris. And here lies the major dramatic conflict of this part of the novel. Anna Mikhailovna's goal is to secure for her son at least a portion of the dying Count Bezukov's fortune. Boris is, after all, as Mikhailovna tirelessly reminds all who will listen, the Count's godson. Surely he is entitled to some portion of the Count's fortune. And so, after casually mentioning to her rich friend that she is in need of 500 rubles to properly equip Boris for the Semenov Guards, Anna Mikhailovna gathers Boris and sets off for the Bezukov estate. And on Providence, Seneca sets out to answer the question of why Providence allows bad things to happen to good people. His answer is that evil should be looked at not as a malign hardship, but rather as a kind of paternal conditioning program to strengthen the mind and soul. Anna Mikhailovna echoes this sentiment when asked how she manages to be so energetic at such an advanced age. God grant you never know what it is to be left a widow without means and with a son you love to distraction. One learns many things then, she replies. So the next time you face a difficulty, remember Anna Mikhailovna and her old friend Seneca. Daily Meditation. Why do many things turn out badly for good men? Why no evil can befall a good man? Contraries cannot combine. Just as so many rivers, so many showers of rain from the clouds, such a number of medicinal springs do not alter the taste of the sea, indeed, do not so much as soften it, so the pressure of adversity does not affect the mind of a brave man. Seneca, on Providence. Alright, that concludes my reading. Thanks so much for listening. Remember that if you'd like to support me, you can do so either by purchasing the ebook, A Year of War and Peace, becoming a patron at patreon.com, or making a one-time donation at PayPal. The links to all that are below. Tomorrow we will be reading Chapter 12 of War and Peace. I hope you'll join me. Until then, take care of yourselves and of others.